Joan's body hurtled towards the earth, spinning out of control. She could feel death just seconds away, fear and adrenaline surging through her bloodstream. But an incredible lineup of coincidences were about to take place, making Joan's skydiving story one of the most bizarre and miraculous survival stories known to date. Hey guys, welcome to Bent Planet, where I tell you true stories of humans in abnormal predicaments. If you love crazy true stories with a disturbing twist, subscribe because I have plenty for you. Alright, get comfortable. Are you ready to hear a story? Joan pulled herself up to the open door of a small plane that flew thousands of meters above North Carolina in the USA. Wind tore through the cabin as her heartbeat began to rise. This was the moment she had been waiting for. The moment she always looked forward to. The moment she felt most alive. Born in 1955 in the town of Moose Jaw in Saskatchewan, Canada, Joan Murray was one of 6 children raised on a farm by English immigrants, and she had no fear of the great outdoors. After moving to the USA, it was a team-building exercise at the bank she worked for in North Carolina that first introduced Joan to skydiving, and once she jumped, she was hooked. In 1999, Joan turned 47, and by then she had not only worked her way up to being the bank's senior vice president, but she had also jumped out of a plane 36 times and clearly had no plans on slowing down. That year, she invested in some new skydiving gear and booked a skydive to give it a proper test. At this point, Joan had done enough dives to feel confident about jumping alone, so as the plane took off, Joan's heartbeat picked up pace with excited anticipation. And as the plane reached almost 15,000 feet in altitude, that's 4.5 kilometers up in the air, the pilot signaled that it was time to jump. Ready as ever, she dove straight out into the expanse of blue sky, the wind surging against her face as she raced downwards. It was this moment that truly made her feel alive, breaking the rules of human safety and staring death in the face. For a full minute, Joan took in the beautiful view of North Carolina's landscape below as she maneuvered against the wind. But as always, the spine-tingling rush of the freefall was broken when her altimeter, the device used to measure and monitor a skydiver's descent, began sounding its familiar alarm, telling Joan that it was time to pull the ripcord. The cord used to deploy her parachute that would gently float her back to the ground below. Joan reached for the ripcord and yanked it, but nothing happened. No sudden pull of straps around her shoulders and waist, no parachute opened up above her. Instead, she continued hurtling downwards at 80 miles, almost 130 kilometers per hour. A whole new rush of adrenaline ran through her blood as she realized her parachute had failed. But this is exactly why backup parachutes were invented. Rushing towards the earth, Joan's emergency reserve parachute automatically shot out. She was already only 700 feet, 200 meters away from the ground, as she felt the chute pull up and away from her. But instead of feeling the grip of it taking hold of her body, all she heard was the terrifying sound of flapping material against the wind. And before she had time to attempt anything else, her body began spinning uncontrollably. The backup chute had failed to open properly, and it was instead flailing about above her, throwing her body off balance into futile twists and turns as she continued to plummet straight down. Sheer horror raced through her mind, but as quickly as her brain was flooded with panic and desperation, her body slammed against the ground below, hitting so hard and fast that fillings came flying out of her teeth, and bones all the way down the right side of her body, including her femur and pelvis, were shattered. You would imagine this to be the last moments of Joan's life, and anyone witnessing the fall would have presumed Joan to be dead on impact. Statistically, a person has a 50% chance of survival when falling from the height of a 4-story building. That's around 48 feet or 15 meters. When it's raised to a 7-story building, the likelihood of death is 90%. Joan had fallen from a height of around 1,400 stories. The failed parachutes had helped in slowing her down at least, but it was a fall most humans would not survive. Against all odds though, Joan's mind remained awake and aware after the impact. In complete shock, she lay there, her body so full of adrenaline that the pain of her injuries hadn't even kicked in yet. Barely able to breathe, she presumed death would come soon. And before long, Joan felt her body and mind shutting down. But then came an unexpected pain, an intense sting burning into her side, as though someone had taken a red-hot needle and stabbed her with it. Bang! Another one hit her in another part of her back. Then another and another. Searing pain breaking through the numbing effect of adrenaline. Again and again, more stings penetrated her skin, overwhelming her senses as tens, then hundreds of stings brutalized her body. And in the throes of complete shock and pain, Joan's mind slipped into darkness. When paramedics loaded Joan's body into an ambulance, they could not fathom that her heart was still beating after such a huge free fall. But when they saw what she had landed on, the miracle began to make some sense. Joan was induced into a 2-week coma as she needed extensive medical treatment, including 20 reconstructive surgeries and 17 blood transfusions in order to survive. But it was what her paramedics told her when she awoke from the coma that made it such an incredible survival story. Arriving at the impact scene where she lay unconscious, the emergency crew saw that Joan had landed on a nest of fire ants, a mound of soft earth that managed to cushion her impact, just enough to stop an immediate death. Still, Joan's heart would have soon shut down due to the trauma of the fall, if it were not for the hundreds of fire ants that began defending their nest by viciously biting her. Covering her body, they went to war against this random intruder that had fallen from the sky. But despite attempting to do her harm, the venom from their stings caused enough fresh adrenaline to be produced in Joan's body that it kept her heart pumping, keeping her heart beating long enough for paramedics to arrive and take over. Not only did Joan make a full recovery and get back on her feet, within 2 years she was back in the air to complete her 37th skydive, this time surrounded by friends to support her. She also passed on the legacy to her daughter Carmen, who took her first skydive just 1 year after her mother's accident. Alright, that's it for today's true story of humans in abnormal predicaments. This one in honour of Joan, who passed away in 2022 due to a battle with cancer, though she certainly lives on in the hearts of many, and is recognised as having one of the most incredible survival stories of our time. A massive thanks to her daughters, Carmen and Ariane, who helped me with the information and photos for this story. Please let them know you enjoyed the story by leaving a comment below and liking the video. And of course, subscribe if you would like to hear more stories like this one. That's it from me. Stay safe out there, and as always, stay bent.